morning, County students. How are you today? Well, today we're going to talk about automatons and the physics of automatons. And you might ask yourself, what is an automaton? Well, an automaton is a self-moving device. So it's like automatic, but it's really an illusion because you do have to put some work into it to make it work. So some automatons that you might think about would be like a jack-in-the-box, where you turn the crank and the clown pops out. That's an automaton. Also like a cuckoo clock, that on the hour the bird comes out and chirps. That's an automaton. Other ones you might know are like music boxes. This is a music box that I have. That's an automaton. And so inside here you have a little disc, and it has little notches in it. And then over here you got little fingers. And so when I turn the crank, it turns the wheel and axle, and then those little notches pick up those fingers and like play a little piano. So it's kind of like a self-playing piano. Okay, so that's the very basics of automatons. Now, I first got interested in automatons because I belong to this monthly subscription called Tinker Crate, and it comes from Kiwi Company. And so I get a Tinker zine, and they sent me an automaton to build. And we learned a little bit about automatons in there, and I just thought these were fascinating, and then I got absorbed into them, into the world of automatons. So what I built was an automaton, and in the kit you get a box, you get the magazine, it give you all the equipment, all the wood to build it, they give you your instructions, and they give you this great magazine that talks about automatons and how they're used and how to build them. So I started off by building that one, and this one is wood, and as you can see, there is some cardboard. These are cardboard, but this is wood, and then it has these little spheres. Now, as I built it, you have it created so that when you turn the crank over here, I'll turn it around. I'll try to do it this way so that you can see. The balls climb up the stairs and then roll back down so that it looks like the spheres are climbing the steps. Okay, so that's really how I got started with the automatons, and as you can see, as you're going to see in a minute, I became addicted to them and how they work. So from there, I decided to build one out of a box. So what I did here this is the crate that actually my kit came in. It says Kiwi Company, it's Tinker Crate. So here's the box, and then what I did was I created the automaton, and basically it's very basic. It's just cardboard and paper. So what I did was I have this rod that goes through my box, and you can see that it has like a wheel. This is called a cam, and the cams can come in different shapes and sizes. And then I have another rod that goes vertically. So if I position that cam right in the right spot, and then I turn my horizontal one, it makes my butterfly go up and down. And you can see that my butterfly looks like he's flapping his wings. Now I added those little crayons so that it would push his wings up a little bit. Now that was just my addition to it so that my wings would go up. And then I just used a little clothespin to make my butterfly, and that way I could fasten it on, or I could take it off if I wanted to put something else on there. So this is one of the more advanced ones that we're going to try to build today. And from there I got really into some paper automatons, like this one right here is a little robot, and when he moves his head will go up and his tray will come down. as he moves around. This is like a tea serving, see his little tea in his tray, tea serving robot, which they used to use a long time ago in China, like in the 1200s. Then I went from that one to my peekaboo bear, and you can see the crank on here. And as I turn him, he plays peekaboo, peekaboo, and his little hands go up and his eyes go up. And he's completely made of paper. And then I've got my my penguin, and he tries to fly off the rock. So, oh, he's trying to fly, but he can't really get off the rock. So he's trying to jump off the rock. And then I got even more sophisticated, and I built the little Wild West town here. And you can see that as I turn my automaton, oh, I got to turn it backwards. The train goes through the tunnel, and I got to make sure there we go. The train goes through the tunnel and goes around the town. So there you can see the train moves around as my gears catch. And these have gears on the inside. Now we're not going to get as fancy as all the gears. But then from there I decided, oh, I'm really going to get fancy here, and then I made a wooden one. And this one was from Timber Kit, and he's my little drummer. So he's playing the drums as I turn the kit. So as you can see, Mrs. Cedars lost her mind and has spent a lot of time making these. Then the other thing is I decided to make them even less fancy, and I went with a clothespin. And if you see when you open it up, oh, it might help if I did it the right way. You see my little chickies in there. Or I've got my whale, and when you open him up, he swallowed a boat. And then I have this one that's just my little love note. So it says, I love you, when you open it up. So even something simple like this can be an automaton. Now, we're going to start off with a very basic automaton and the little clothespin. So what I did is I just printed a little monkey out from my computer, and then I just colored him so that I could use him. Then I'm going to take a X-Acto knife, or you can use a pair of scissors. Now, if you're using a scissors or knife, you need to make sure you have a parent around. Okay. Now I'm just going to cut him right at the mouth, and I'm going to try to make it look like he's still got that curvy little mouth. Okay, now you can see now I cut his little mouth off. Now I got my clothespin, and I'm going to glue the top of his mouth on the top of the clothespin. And I'm using a little hot glue, but you can use Elmer's glue. I just want something that'll stick really fast. If you're going to use hot glue, you need to get an adult. So now you can see his head, and when I push down, it moves up. Now I'm going to put the rest of his mouth on the bottom of my clothespin. And I wanted to position it up there. Now I can make my monkey talk. So here you can see he has a little monkey face. So this is a very, very simple automaton, and just uses your clothespin to make the monkey talk. So this one is very easy, simple to create. So if you want to go very simple, here you go. You have a monkey that talks. Okay. Now, if you want to go more advanced, that's and you want to build like my butterfly, the box, which I'm going to show you how to do. I created this one for you. This is my frog, and as you can see, when I turn the crank, he hops. So we're going to build something like this, but I'm going to use a rabbit instead. Okay, so first things first. First, you have to have a box. So I just took a box that I have around my house, and I cut the top off of it. So now it's just got the sides. All right. Now, the first thing you need to do is you're going to set it upright. So let me adjust this a little bit, so maybe you can see my working area a little bit more. Hopefully. So you set it up right like that. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is going to be the top of my box and where I want my frog or butterfly to move. So I am going to take a X-Acto knife, and you're going to want to use an adult to help you with this, and I'm going to put a hole up here in my box. Now I'm making it kind of a square. You don't want to make it too big or too small, because if you do, your rod will get stuck, and you don't want that, because then he won't move very well. And since it's made out of paper, you want to make sure that you are not putting too much strain on it, or your paper will bend. So I'm just putting my hole in there, and I'm being really careful not to cut my finger. Okay, so now you see I have a hole in there. Now I'm using a dowel rod, and I just got them from Walmart, but you can use a stick from outside if you want. Okay, so I want to make sure my dowel rod fits in there. Oh, yep, fits in there, and it'll move easily. That's what I want to have. Okay, now I need a dowel rod to also go inside. That'll hold my hidden cam. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hole in this side and then directly across on this side. So they have to be directly across from each other so that it'll spin like a wheel and axle. Okay, so I'm going to take my X-Acto knife again, and I'm going to again, I'm going to kind of make it like a square. And I'm going to put that hole in that side. Now remember, if you're using a X-Acto knife, or you're using something with scissors, or you're trying to cut through cardboard, please get an adult to help you, because I do not want you to get your finger cut. Okay, now it's easy for me, once I get one hole in there, to bring it through and kind of touch the other side, so I know where I need to poke the other hole. And I just push a little bit, and then it makes a little indentation, so I can use that indentation to know where my other hole needs to go. So now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to cut my other hole on the other side. That way I can make sure that it's level. Okay? So now I've got a hole in this side and a hole in this side, and my dowel rod will go through this hole and into the other hole over here. And then when it turns, well, it's not exactly level, but it'll still work. When it turns, it'll go around. Now, sometimes I take a straw and I will cut the straw, and these are big milkshake straws, and you can get them at the grocery store. And I cut it, and then I slide it through the hole over here. That just helps me keep my my stick to stay in there. And you might want to hot glue on the edges, because that would make it stick in there better if you want it to last a long time. Okay? You don't have to use the straws. I just do sometimes so that it stays. Now, once you have your box, so you got your holes in there where you want them. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to cut a cam. Now, cams can come in all different shapes and sizes, okay? And depend upon which kind of cam you use will depend on what kind of motion you get. So here are some different ones. And I just drew mine on cardboard. And I made this oval one. It looks like an egg. So I have a smaller hole, or a smaller part and a bigger part. That makes it go up and down. If you do a circle, just make sure that you offset the circle, the hole for it, so that you have a larger end and a smaller end of your circle. So when it goes around, it'll pop things up and down. Okay? Now, I already have mine ready to go here. So I'm going to take my rod, and I'm going to poke, and I cut an X in mine so that you can poke your dowel rod or stick through there. Okay, now here's my cam. Notice I want to have it level. Notice that when it turns, it's going to push up and down. Okay, so I've got that on there. Now I'm going to it is going to slide right through here, but for now I'm just going to set it off to the side, because I want to work on the stick that's going to go up the top. Now, I like to give my stick a little extra support. So what I need to know is how far down does it need to go? So I see that when I slide this through, I want my, no, that's not as good as I'd like it to be. Maybe I should have cut it a little smaller. So I think I'm going to shrink my, there we go. I got another one kind of cut. Shrink it down, make it a little smaller so that it'll turn in my box a little better. Yeah, so if you make it too big, there you go. That's what I want. I want it to turn like that. Okay? So I just have some smaller ones cut too if my big one is too big. Okay? Now, I like to have, I need to have a bottom on my stick that's going to go up through the center. So what I did is I just cut a piece of cardboard, and then I'm going to kind of bring it up along the sides. Now, you can use a zip tie to tie that on. You can use tape. I've just got a hot glue gun here, so I'm just going to hot glue that in place so that it will stay where I want it to stay on the bottom of that stick. Okay? Now, once I get this hot glued, I'll lift it up so you can see how I have it. Okay? So what I did is I just took my piece of cardboard and I just created a little base for the stick that's going to go up. That way my cam is going to hit this and push my stick up and down, and that's what I want to have happen. Okay? Now, that's why I like hot glue. It sticks fast. But you could use tape. Tape works well too. Now, I also like to have a little support for my thing, because sometimes you see if you don't have a support, sometimes it'll flop different directions, and I don't really want that. So I'm going to make a little support for my stick. Now, I just use cardboard, and what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want it to stick here, and I'm going to cut a little hole. So I'm going to have it stick there. Okay. Then I'm going to have it bend in. So I think I want to come on this side. Okay. So now I've got it like this. And then I want it also, so this is, I need to come in quite a bit. This one. And then I'm going to cut. Okay, so it needs to come in about this much. Okay, so then I'm going to, it's going to look like this. When I slide it in the box, it'll, I also definitely want to put a hole in here to make sure that it holds my stick in place. Okay, so I'm going to use tape for this, and I'm going to tape my supports in there. I'm just using tape. I'm going to tape it to the top of the box first. Now I want to make sure that I use quite a bit of tape to hold it in there nice and good. See, I have just the top held in there now. Now I want it to go in like this. So the other thing I want to do, I'm going to tape that there in a minute, but I want to see where I need to put the hole to support it. So I'm going to put that down. Then I'm going to take my stick, my vertical stick, and I'm going to poke it so I can see where my hole needs to go. Okay? Now, I know it's going to go here because I just poked it through, and I'm going to put my X in there to make my hole so that I can put my dowel rod through it. And I'm going to poke it through and make it so that it's wide enough. Now, I've got my hole in the cardboard there. Now, I'm going to tape it on the bottom here so that it stays in place. Gives me that little extra support I might need. Okay, so now you see how I have it in there? Now, position my cam the way I want it. Now, I'm going to put my stick, I might take my cam out, up through my support and then through the hole in the top. And see how it's going to move? Now, I'm going to put my cam in there, and I may want to turn that a little bit. Now, as this hits my cam, it'll make it move up and down. Okay, so, and if you don't have it going up and down real well, you want to just make your hole a little bit bigger. Okay, or you can make your support down here a little bigger. Okay, now after you have that done, all you really need to do now is to put on your design. Okay, because now it's going to pop up and down like I want it to. I'm going to make my hole in my support here a little bit bigger because that's what's holding me, that's what's causing me to have a little hold up here. So I'm going to make this hole bigger. Okay, now be very careful when you're doing that so that you don't cut yourself. But if I make my hole too tight, it'll keep my stick from moving freely, and I want to make sure that it's moving freely. So I'm going to make that hole just a smidgen bigger so that it's moving up and down very freely, okay, without anything in its way. So I'm going to cut through here and get these pieces off so that it's not casting. Okay. Now I'm going to, got a bigger hole now, which is what I wanted. Okay, so now I'm going to put it back in the way I wanted it. Get my tape here. Put it back, tape it back on there nice. And then tape my other part on there nice. So that I have it taped where I want it. And let's see if it moves a little bit better now that I made the hole a little bigger. So put it up through there. Oh, that's much better. Then put this. Now it's moving a lot better. Good. Okay, now I went ahead and cut out a bunny, and I'm just going to tape my bunny on the top. Now, as I move this down here, my bunny can spin and he can turn. So, that's all. Oh, I want him to spin back. There we go. So, based on how I built my inside, I can make my bunny move around, bounce up and down, and spin. Okay? So that's the very basics. So, the same thing, I did the exact same thing here with my frog. I put a little water so that he can be bouncing on his lily pad in the water. And then I just turn, and you can see that he like bounces around on his lily pad. And all I'm doing is turning my stick here. Okay? So, that is basically how you do it. You got your real simple one, you've got your more sophisticated one, and if you want to go into building these wooden ones or these paper ones, these, I'm going to tell you, it was a lot of cutting and it wasn't as easy as you might think. It took me several hours. But the book that I used is Karakuri. It's Japanese paper folding. It's called How to Make Mechanical Paper Models That Move. And I wish I could say that name very well, but it's Kesuke Saka is the author, and all the papers in there. And also it gives you some great other pieces to build more cams and more rods and things. Everything was made out of paper. Now this one right here I got from Timber Kit, and I think it was like $15 or $16, but again, this took me many hours to build, so you're going to have to think about that. And this one right here that I showed you first was from Kiwi Crate. And so this one didn't take me that long to build, was very fun, and kind of got me started on building all of the other automatons that you see around me. So I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to be putting a step-by-step direction plus some understanding about how automatons work in a Nearpod, and so that you can watch that video and you can go step-by-step through the directions. So I hope you have fun. I hope you get to build something, and I hope that you will send pictures to me of what you've created or videos so that I can see them. If you send me a video or a picture, my email is M as in Margie Suder, spelled S-U-D-E-R, at k12.wv.us. And I would love to see what you created. So show me some of the things that you built. Have a great day, and I will see you again for our next video lesson. Talk to you later. Bye.